Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we discuss day-to-day problems people face in their lives. Let's start with the video. Shortly after my 5th birthday, my dad found out that I was not biologically his. He immediately threw me and my mother out of his life, which now looking back, I can't really blame him. It would be a nightmare to raise someone who was a constant reminder of your wife cheating. Shortly after that, we moved from a mansion to a very small apartment, and my life has been absolutely lonely and horrible since. The love that my mother had for me disappeared in an instant, and she and my half-siblings constantly blame me for being the reason for the divorce, have hated me since. I was constantly told by my own family, including my mother, that they all wished that I would die and would have never been born and things like that. I try to not let my half-siblings' words get to me since they were kids as well, but it still hurts to this date. My mother married my stepdad when I was 10, and he and his kids, my step-siblings, have made it very clear they didn't like me, and things got even worse. I was given the smallest room, no new clothes or things, and constantly ignored if not being bullied by my family. Both my step-family and half-siblings went on great and fantastic trips and were given all the latest gadgets and everything as well while I was being left behind. It actually came to a point where no one had wished me even a happy birthday since I was 8 years old. I had no friends at school as well. I was that quiet kid who was always isolated and left out of everything. I, 27 male now, managed to get a full ride to Dream College and am now financially quite secure. I now have a very good friend and an amazing fiance with whom I have a 3-year-old son, and her family has adopted me as one of their own. My fiance's also convinced me to go to therapy, for which I'm very grateful as well, and I'm basically doing great in life and have moved past everything. Recently, my mother contacted me a few days ago saying she needed my help. Money actually, because she has cancer, and I firmly but politely refused her, saying that while I sympathize with her situation, it is not my responsibility and she should lose my number and never contact me again. I'm now hounded by my step-family and even my half-siblings that I shouldn't refuse, and my response was pretty much the same and have blocked them as well. Yesterday, my mom called me from her friend's phone, this time ordering me to pay since she has sacrificed so much for me, to which I replied, "You never sacrificed anything. You gave everything away you had because you just couldn't keep your legs closed," and hung up on her. I've blocked them all, and now just keep receiving messages calling me an a-hole among other things from new numbers, which I promptly block. But now occasionally I feel quite guilty. What my mother did was horrible, yes, but no one deserves to die for such things. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for refusing to pay my mother's hospital bill, even though it might lead to her death? Not the a-hole. You don't owe anything to your abusers, and everyone has to die eventually. It is no coincidence that they're trying to get back into your life at this precise moment, when they need money and you have it. Please continue to enjoy the wonderful life you've built for yourself and leave these people behind. Sometimes your horrible mistreatment of your own children can come back to haunt you. I'd have said, pretend I was never born, like you always wished for, and never call me again, just like you wished I didn't exist, and I don't give an F of what happens to you now. Go ask the other kids you showed love for money. It'd be the ultimate revenge if you were able to develop some sort of a friendly relationship with her former husband who she cheated on. Just tell him that his success inspired you to want to be successful, and thank him for all he did because he was actually the best parent you ever had. I don't know if that could lead to something nice, but it might. These are the same people who cry, "But we are family." Why can't the rest of the half-siblings and step-siblings scrape up money together instead of dumping it on one person? For real, the original poster needs to keep their head up and these people out of their lives, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You didn't ask to be born, and yet your mother thinks that all of the things she did for you, read the bare minimum, entitles her to the value of your hard work. It just further reiterates that she and the rest of your family are toxic. I'm glad you didn't let the circumstances of your birth hold you back from being a healthy, successful individual. You should be really proud of yourself. I'm so sorry you had to grow up that way and you handled that situation way better than I could have. I think that was a perfect response and you should just keep blocking everyone who contacts you about the money. Your mother won't die because you aren't helping pay for her treatments. Your step siblings and half siblings should be the ones helping her. You just keep doing you and live your life. Not the a-hole. Blocking her is probably the best for you, and it is suspicious that she suddenly reaches out wanting cash. If she manages to get past your block, there are two things you might try. 1. Are you in the US? Advise him to look into Obamacare under Biden's COVID relief plan. It has great expanded eligibility. 2. Also, don't hand over any cash, but ask to see the hospital bill. I suspect she wants money more than medical help. If she doesn't respond well to guidance to get real medical help, or to you implying but not promising to pay bills directly to the hospital, she's lying about being sick. And honestly, cancer care is so insanely expensive that she could wipe out every penny you have and only get a fraction of the treatment she needs. Actual insurance is the only reasonable option that could actually help her. Finally, sign absolutely nothing. If you just sign this, it will authorize treatment, but I won't make you pay. Will be a lie intended to get you to sign to accept responsibility for the bills. Next story. I've been with my wife for over 6 years. I have a 17-year-old stepson and a biological 22-year-old son. The family had ups and downs just like any other family. My son is getting married in February. I have put some money aside to help him out as a gift from me for his wedding. I've already talked to him about it, and he and his fiancée say they appreciate it very much. My son deserves it because before his mom died, he took over her care and spent nights at the hospital with her. He cried many, many times because his mother's death broke him. I'm glad he found happiness again. My stepson is a motorcyclist. It started off as a hobby. He has posters of all kinds of motorcycles, pictures of famous racers and motorcyclists. He also has a group of friends he calls brothers, and they ride together and wear some kind of bracelets that represent the group. He always does 3D arts and logos, which I find stunning, to be honest. He's talented, no question about it. Anyway, before Christmas, his mom told me she wanted to get him a motorcycle as a Christmas gift, and he'd love it so much. I told her I can't afford it, and that maybe she should think of another gift for him. Everything was fine until Christmas Day while we were exchanging gifts. My stepson received a small box from my wife that had a key in it. We were confused. She told him to go outside and we all followed, and then I saw a brand new motorcycle in the driveway. I started wondering where she got the money. I didn't bring it up right there and then. I waited a bit. I asked my wife and she told me she took $8,000 from the account to buy the motorcycle. I lost it. I blew up on her and asked if she was kidding me. $8,000. That's the money I put aside for my son's wedding. She said that I needed to calm down, but the money was already gone. My son showed up and asked what was wrong. I couldn't tell him his stepmom took the money that was meant for him to buy an expensive motorcycle that I'm sure my stepson will throw in the garage, just like he did with the old ones in a very short time. So far, he had 2 motorcycles that ended up being damaged. Those motorcycles cost us so much money other than paying for spares and parts that needed repairing. I told my wife she has 2 days to return the motorcycle and get the money back, and she defended herself saying she can't do that because it'd be devastating for my stepson and that he'll resent me if he knew I made her return the motorcycle. I told her that I was ready to talk to him and explain if that's what it takes, and she started crying, saying I was okay with my stepson's spirit crushing like that. I told her it was her fault for taking money in the first place without telling me. She went upstairs and stayed there the entire night. I haven't even talked to my son yet, and it's so exhausting since my wife says I'm being cruel to my stepson. Problem is, she says my stepson will resent me if I return the motorcycle. Not the a-hole. What the hell? She bought a motorcycle for $8,000? Never mind using money that's not hers, and expected you to just be okay with it? Huge red flag. There was no respect for boundaries here. 1. She spent $8,000 after discussing with original poster who told her that they didn't have the money to spare. 2. She took money that she most likely knew was for the oldest son's, her stepson's wedding, and spent it on a lavish gift for her own bio kid, thus demonstrating once and for all that original poster's oldest child is not a priority to her. 3. Even if the money wasn't already promised to help for a wedding, spending 8K on one of your kids' casual hobbies is sending a clear message to the older kid, not the a-hole. Financial infidelity is just as damaging to a marriage as physical infidelity, in my honest opinion. I'd be thinking some serious thoughts about what is going on in your wife's head. Like, how did she think you would react? Why didn't she care? And was she actively trying to sabotage you from contributing to your son's wedding? Here's the thing, if someone gave me an $8,000 gift and I found out it was using someone else's money, I would be angry that the gift giver stole money from someone else. I wouldn't resent the victim. Take a good minute to think about that. If your stepson had any decency, there would be no chance he'd resent you. Don't feel bad about insisting on your wife coming up with the entire amount back somehow. I doubt you'll get the whole amount back from the motorcycle. Not the a-hole. You need to separate your finances immediately so that she can never pull a stunt like that again. She does not have your back and never will. She's okay with crushing your son while providing her son with yet another toy. This is a hill I would die on. She needs to return your money to you. If she doesn't, talk to your stepson and tell him that his mother embezzled the money from you to buy the motorcycle and that the motorcycle will need to be taken back and the money returned. He needs to understand that if he's upset, the blame rests solely on his mother. Frankly, I would give her two choices: return the money in 2 days or pack up and get out. You need to get yourself an attorney and file for divorce. She should have thought about it before going behind your back and stealing your money. She's guilt-tripping you. Don't give her a leg to stand on. Talk to your stepson, explain the situation before she lies to him. Say that while it sucks, you two can figure out how to get him a new bike. But this time, perhaps you only pay for half and he pays for the other half. Not right now, over time. That way, maybe he'll start looking after his own stuff and stop breaking them. While I understand he might be a good kid, everything is given to him. He will end up never appreciating stuff because he doesn't put money, time, and sweat into what he uses. Next story. This might sound silly, but my husband loves food. Not gaming, not YouTube. His weakness is food. I don't hold it against him in any way, but he eats a lot. He's fit and regularly attends the gym. And sometimes I find myself cooking bigger portions of food because he'd attempt to eat from our daughter's plates, leaving them still hungry. We always run out of snacks as well, so there are times when I have to cook twice a day. Yesterday at 4 p.m., I was out with the girls to get new haircuts. I already prepared dinner and left it in the fridge till we got back. I told my husband that I'd put his portion aside for when he got back from the gym so he could go ahead and eat if me and the girls were going to be late. I called him at the salon and he said he got home and had his dinner and was doing some work in his office. At 8 p.m., me and the girls returned home and I quickly went into the kitchen to reheat dinner because we were so hungry. I opened the fridge and the food I prepared was gone. I asked him and he said he felt hungry after eating early and ate our dinner. I was angry and kept thinking about what we were going to eat. I kept looking for other options, and when I asked about other foods, he kept shaking his head, saying we'd already ran out of this and ran out of that. I bluntly said he was selfish to eat the girls' dinner. He said he couldn't help it. He's always hungry. I went to order food from the restaurant for just me and the girls. When our order arrived, I called the girls and sat to eat. Few minutes later, he walked out of the office and was upset that we didn't call him to join us for dinner. I told him he already had dinner not once but twice and that I didn't include him in our order since he's already eaten. He lashed out saying that I was doing this deliberately by ordering food from his favorite restaurant. Pretty much all of his restaurants are his favorite, and excluding him from dinner and teaching the girls to treat him as if he was unwanted at the dinner table. I called him selfish. This dinner was for me and the girls since he already ate our previous dinner that I spent time making. He admitted he was wrong to eat our dinner and said he felt bad afterwards, but said it was totally worth it. There's no doctor, therapist, or pastor that could help him out with this problem. He's just a man who loves food. But I was behaving passive-aggressive towards him and implying that him licking food is a problem, which is incorrect. We argued for minutes, then he went back into his office saying I should feel bad for excluding him from our meal. Needless to say, he hasn't spoken to me ever since and keeps teasing the girls about no longer sharing his snacks with them since they were okay with me excluding him from dinner. Am I the a-hole? I don't usually jump to divorce when a couple has kids, but yeah, it's not just eating the food, it's the selfishness and nastiness he showed after eating all of the food. At a minimum, after his gluttonous binge, he should have ordered food for the whole family so that they had something available when they got home. He already knew he had eaten everything in the house, not just the dinner meant for four. That he just left original poster and the girls to starve and then doubled down and said it was worth it, on top of demanding more food, shows he's pretty irredeemable. For most people, this would be a wake up call that they have a serious eating problem. He seems to know this on some level, but would rather be nasty for days than seek help. It's ultimatum time. Either he goes to a doctor or therapist about this, or original poster leaves. He's the a-hole for not getting help. My dad used to be like this. Turns out he was bulimic and would binge and purge. He crossed so many boundaries, like stealing our food. He was hungry all the time, would be constantly snacking, and couldn't keep his hands off other people's food. And he didn't understand why we would get upset, and he was good at hiding it. Our grocery bill was around $1,000 a month, family of four, because he was in charge of the shopping. Even after my sister and I moved out, he still spent the same amount of food for just him and my mom. I think your husband needs some kind of help, whether it is bulimia or some sort of other medical issue. Edit to add that my dad was fit. He hid his bulimia well for more than several decades. The fact that your husband is never full, doesn't gain weight, and really doesn't want to go to the doctor for his problem leads me to believe that he's hiding something. Maybe he thinks the doctor will know something that he's not ready to admit. Not the a-hole. Who eats their kids' dinner? If he was still hungry, he could have gone out to eat, or at the very least, warned you so you could have made a detour instead of coming home. Nobody needs this much food unless you're serving up the world's tiniest portions. I would say he needs serious help. Exactly. Then that crap with him eating everything that original poster could have cooked with. My younger brother is like this, albeit to a lesser extent. He feels the urge to eat more of something than everybody else in the household. I don't even think he does it because he is particularly hungry, but as the principle of, I need to eat this or somebody else will eat this. He has refused fast food when ordered, only to eat everybody else's dinner when left alone in the car with it. He growled at me for asking for one of the 4 remaining slices of pizza. He has been caught with people's snacks on numerous occasions, and he has drunk 33 cans of soda in 2 days, making sure nobody else got a single one. I'm currently hiding a bottle of organic maple syrup in the vegetable drawer of the fridge because it was purchased by somebody who comes to the house regularly, and we all know how expensive organic food is. When I got surgery and had some nutrient shakes in the fridge because I couldn't get my appetite up, I had to explain to him that they are specifically for those who can't eat. I had to store my chemotherapy supplies bag in my room and lock it to make sure he couldn't raid it for the snacks inside.